I'm the current caretaker of Clermont's claim to fame, but when it's time to sell, the next buyer is going to be a nonprofit organization and preferably a Christian organization. And Rabbi has come along and met both of those requirements.
The Citrus Tower is one of the iconic landmarks in the state of Florida, an enduring symbol that serves as a reminder of the days when the citrus industry was king. In the 1950s, during the huge citrus boom, locals dreamt of having a roadside attraction as visitors were starting to discover the rolling hills and pristine lakes of Clermont. According to an article published in the Clermont Press, locals dreamt of having a viewing tower named the Castle in the Air. The enthusiasm for a lookout tower was so great that tower plans were being made by two companies at the same time. Only one company got the nod, and a plan envisioned by Ralph Harper on the 12th of October 1950 gained momentum. This paved the way for the Citrus Tower that would then become an icon in Clermont, the gem of the hills. Construction started in 1955, and 1 year later, on a Saturday, the 14th of July, 1956, the Citrus Tower was officially opened. Representatives from Silver Springs and Cypress Gardens, then the two main attractions in Central Florida, attended, and they used water from the springs to christen the tower on this historic day. Then, Greg Homan, the current owner of the Citrus Tower, who was born on the 22nd of November 1955 on the Torah portion of Toldot, which means generations, was only 8 months old. He has lived in Clermont all his life, when the wonderland of citrus and the sweet fragrance of orange blossoms were in the air all day, every day. He went to Clermont High School, and when he graduated, he didn't go to college, but went into the citrus business. After the harsh freezes of the 80s, he changed his path.
Didn't really care for it much. Buyers are liars and sellers are worse kind of thing. So I decided I needed to be a landlord and started buying some houses and found out that I don't have the backbone to kick people out when they can't pay their rent, especially if they got little kids. And so I, believe it or not, read Donald Trump's book, The Art of the Deal. And that book pretty much says that commercial real estate is the answer. And so I came to work that morning, and there stood the Citrus Tower, and turns out it was for sale, and the owners were willing to finance it for me. The down payment I was able to borrow from a rich friend, and I've been working the tower ever since. That was 1995.
Were you attracted to the Citrus Tower? I know you said that, going into commercial real estate was a thing after reading The Art of the Deal. But because of your involvement in the citrus industry, do you think that was an added pull for you?
It was partially that. The Citrus Tower, there's no question, it's a citrus industry icon. It was built in 1955 to showcase the citrus industry. That was before the Turnpike. And the three major attractions at the time were Silver Springs, where the Tarzan movies were filmed, and the Citrus Tower, where you'd come here and go up to the top. Lake County was producing more citrus than the whole state of California at that point. And you could look at just miles and miles of citrus and then have the fruit shipped back up north. And then Cypress Gardens. That was the three big attractions, and 27 was the main thoroughfare for tourism going north and south.
He always knew the significance of the Citrus Tower to Clermont and purchased it in 1995.
That and being a graduate at Clermont High School, I've always sang the Clermont Fight Song and known how important the Citrus Tower is for the city of Clermont. You get on the phone, I challenge you right now, call anybody in the country, and they or their grandmother or somebody's been to the Citrus Tower. They don't know where Clermont is, but they know where the Citrus Tower is, So I had a lot of interest in it.
By then, citrus was no longer king, and the 226-foot-high Citrus Tower was no longer the unrivaled attraction. There were also challenges.
The Turnpike was built then. The Disney traffic Disney was built and the tourists wasn't coming to the tower, number one. And number two, it was owned by 4 Miami investors that owned a lot of real estate, and the tower was not on their priority list, and so they had let it go on downhill. The parking lot looked like a moonscape, just holes all in it, and the building was in pretty rough shape. And I even still have it, a handwritten letter from one of my attorneys that pleaded with me not to buy it. It was just going to drag me down, and it was just going to be too big a weight on my shoulders. But boy, I tell you what, for a lot of reasons, I've grown to fall in love with it, and it's been a wonderful season.
Despite the warning from his attorney, Greg Homan was determined to restore the tower to its former glory.
There were a lot of challenges. I mean, in an old buildings built in the 50s, you go to, a light bulb burns out, you go to replace it, and turns out you need a breaker box. You know, it's just always something about, there was a big project repairing the parking lot. We put a new roof over all of it. Now that was 25 years ago. It needs a new roof again, I guess, but it's been a challenge all along. The elevator was a challenge because it was so old. It was put in the tower used in 1955.
The old hydraulic elevator has now been upgraded to current standards. The cost of doing so was actually more than it did to build the entire tower. So this in itself is a replica of the tower.
That was used back to raise money to build the tower, I think.
Oh, so this is the original?
It's original, yeah.
Wow.
It's in a lot of the old pictures in 1955.
Wow. As you said, it is indeed a tank.
This is the original car, elevator car. But yeah, about 2 years ago, it was completely upgraded with all electronics, which even has braille for an observation deck. I'm not sure I get that, but anyway.
I think it's significant that you said that the structure is so solid that winds of 190 miles per hour.
It's going nowhere.
This is a place.
Yeah.
This is a place to be. Then we made it to the top of the tower. That's the equivalent of 22 stories. As he took in the panoramic view, he reminisced.
Still beautiful up here. That's a chain of lakes that I used to ski on when I was a kid. Where that construction is there, those buildings, is actually the new elementary school, but that's actually the high school where I went to high school, the location. That's Lake Minnehaha there, and on the horizon is Lake Louise.
When you were here, what makes your heart happy when you're looking out? What are some of the things that come to you?
Well, I can't help but go back to my high school memories, you know, and driving around in my hot rod and squealing tires on all these streets and all, but just growing up around here, I've got great childhood memories.
Right. He also recalled the 50th anniversary of the Citrus Tower on the 2nd of December in 2006. Then over 20,000 people witnessed a spectacular fireworks symphony that was performed to an original composition. Today, it's a new season, and Greg Homan is preparing to pass the baton of ownership to the master Torah teacher, the president and founder of Simchat Torah Beit Midrash, Rabbi Ralph Messer.
Rabbi's a special person. He's very, he makes you very comfortable, you know, when you're talking to him, and he and I have been able to maintain a very cordial relationship along with a professional relationship. You know, we have a lot at stake here. The other building he bought from me, and now in the process of buying this one. It can get stressful, I guess, the negotiations and all. And yet because of our Christian walk, we can keep it cordial and get along even through the difficult negotiations.
And do you find that someone who has been involved in real estate for some time, for quite some time, if you're not on the same page with someone as it relates to your values, it can be a little testy,
Oh, and there's no question about it. And believe me, there's a saying in my business, and I've been in it a long time. When you swim with the sharks, you either turn into a shark or get ate. And I've had a lot of experiences with a lot of people, and I'm a commercial landlord too, a lot of tenants that move down from the New Jersey area or something like that, that life's too short, you just can't get along with those folks. And in Rabbi Messer's case, it's not the case. In fact, this contract has gone on for a couple of weeks without signatures, that is purely based on trust, and there's been no problem, and anytime I'm working with Christians, you have to be discerning. There can be a difference calling yourself a Christian and being one.
Exactly.
But he's genuine, and he's been very easy to work with.
The memories are many. With a twinkle in his eye, he spoke fondly of still being a citrus farmer with 15 acres of certified organic citrus, and he still enjoys driving tractors.
It's still a commanding view from the top of the tower. It's not citrus you're looking at when you go up and look, but you can still see the lakes and the hills and Disney and hotels in Orlando, and you get to watch the rocket launches from up there. It's still a commanding view, and the tourists still appreciate it.
The Citrus Tower has meant a lot. He has seen the pivotal transitions throughout Clermont, but there comes a time for change.
There's a few factors involved. As you age, you hate to see a window close. It means you're getting older, So I've got mixed emotions about this. I'm having to think with both my heart and my brain on it. I leased it to my son a couple of years ago. His heart is truly in ministry, and this was a stepping stone for him. He has no interest in keeping it forever. That would probably be my first choice. It'd stay in the family's hands forever. I don't have the energy to continue. But ever since day one, when I bought the tower in 1995, I have spoke to countless civic clubs, organizations, and they all want to know about what the tower is doing, how this, that, and the other. And I've always said, and I've been consistent, that I'm the current caretaker of Clermont's claim to fame. But when it's time to sell, the next buyer is going to be a nonprofit organization, and preferably a Christian organization. And Rabbi has come along and met both of those requirements for me, my two primary requirements. And so that kind of pushed me over the fence. The other thing is, back to the nonprofit subject, our local city and all the government agencies are very hostile, in my opinion, towards commercial property owners. And Clermont is about to raise the taxes 36% for commercial real estate. And nonprofit, that'll be a moot point for Rabbi. And so I feel like I needed to sell it to a nonprofit to protect the tower from the government. Mm-hmm. And this meets that criteria as well.
Okay. And you know the mission of Simchat Torah Beit Midrash that Rabbi founded so many years ago, and it's that of delving into the Hebrew roots of our faith. And the land of Israel is near and dear to our heart, as is, and you already know his mission. I know you recently went to Israel. Was there a shift, an even greater shift in your I don't want to say in your thoughts, but did that have an impact on what's happening now?
Maybe indirectly. I I can't say directly, but indirectly, yes. When we were in Israel, my wife and I, the Bible became so real in the sense that to sum it up, what a trip to Israel does is it allows you the luxury of believing what the Bible says without having to rely 100% on faith. You know, we were on the Sea of Galilee and a storm came up and then a rainbow came. It was a really neat experience, and it just brings it all real to you. And again, it just made the indirect part of selling this tower to Rabbi just made it all the more comfortable to do so.
For Greg Homan, his greatest desire remains the same.
My greatest desire hasn't changed from day one. When I invited our church in to dedicate the tower to the Lord, my greatest desire is that the tower assist Rabbi in his Christian work, and that he continue to use it for that reason, whether it be prayer meetings up here at the top, and I know that if he does, he will be successful. You know, that's my greatest desire, and that's what makes it work for me. He's promised to do that.
With the changing of the guard, the Citrus Tower will be in new hands. But it remains an iconic structure overlooking the sparkling lakes and rolling hills. From here, the message will go forth, a message that will help to further leverage Rabbi Ralph Messer's pioneering vision, not just to Clermont and the surrounding areas, but across the United States, the continents, and the islands of the seas, as we play our role in taking Torah to the nations.